Sometimes life seems silent, but within us, a voice is always speaking. It's not the voice of money, fame, or success. It's a quiet calling that has been waiting in your heart for years. If you've come across this video, believe me, it's no coincidence. Because sometimes a single prostration, a word, a question, can change an entire life. This is a story of a journey, the journey of a heart that once forgot God and how it found its way back to Him. If this story touches your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more spiritual videos. Michael was a 37-year-old cardiothoracic surgeon. His life was boxed into a routine. Waking up at 7 a.m., heading to the clinic, surgeries, consultations, dinner, a bit of Netflix, then sleep. Everything seemed orderly and calm. But beneath that silence, there was a deep and aching emptiness. He had heard about God in his childhood. His mother had taught him to pray every night. But during his university years, that voice had gone silent. If everything can be explained by science, why is there a need for an invisible being? He used to think. Success, to him, was power. He believed in money, influence, and recognition, and he had all of it. But a part of him was never truly silent. Sometimes, when a patient died or when the heart of an innocent child stopped, in the silence of those moments, a question would rise. What is the meaning of all this? One day, Michael received an invitation to an international conference in another city. He was going to give a very important presentation in his career. The plane took off, but a few hours later, intense lightning storms began. Turbulence shook the aircraft violently. The pilot made the decision to perform an emergency landing. For the first time, Michael felt life on the ground so vividly. He realized that everything could end in just a second. The plane landed safely, but he still had to travel by road to reach the conference. He rented a car and set off. Rain had merged with lightning that tore through the skies. Throughout the drive, he was lost in thought. If I were to die right now, did I truly live? What did I believe in? What purpose did my life serve? All the success, money, and recognition he had chased for years suddenly felt meaningless. There was an emptiness within him, and that emptiness became even clearer through these questions. In that moment, he understood a person can have everything, but a life without meaning is like a life never truly lived. Those in hardship often find their way through here, the old man said simply. Michael said nothing. He just sat down. The man offered him a warm cup of tea. After a few minutes of silence, he spoke. You know a lot, but you've lost even more. Forgetting God is forgetting yourself. Michael felt a strange tremble inside. Those words shook him. Perhaps for the first time in years, something stirred within his heart. Michael stayed at the mosque that night. For the first time in many years, he went down in prostration. His knees trembled. He didn't ask for anything. He simply said, "Oh Lord, if you exist, find me." It wasn't a plea, it was a call rising from within the silence. All through the night, his heart wouldn't quiet down. When he woke up in the morning, there was a strange calmness inside him. He never made it to the conference, but that no longer mattered, because the real conference was the one where he came face to face with his soul. Michael returned to his life, but he was no longer the same Michael. Something inside him had changed, quietly yet profoundly. Now, every morning before going to work, he would spend 10 minutes in prayer. He would open the holy book, read a few verses, and reflect on their meaning. He even set up a simple prayer corner in his hospital office. Some people looked at it strangely, but it didn't bother him, because what people said no longer mattered to him. He was now focused on what God had to say. Faith to him was not just a feeling or a fleeting emotion. It was a living connection. And every day he took small but intentional steps to strengthen. Patience. He used to get angry easily, but now he was learning to stay calm and accept that there was wisdom behind every event. Gratitude. After every successful surgery, he no longer credited only his own skills, but recognized it happened by God's permission, and he gave thanks for it. Repentance. Every night, he would reflect on his day, acknowledge his mistakes, and pray for forgiveness. Michael had come to understand one thing. Faith doesn't appear all at once. It grows through small, daily practices. It's like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it becomes. The more attention you give it, the deeper it gets. And every step he took on that path, a prayer, a moment of patience, a word of gratitude, brought him closer to God. Michael had healed thousands of patients over the years, a surgeon who had brought light into many lives. But one day, something happened that shook him to his core. For the first time in his medical career, his knees trembled and his soul was shaken. A 7-year-old girl, kind-hearted, with a smile that lingered in memory, lost her life during surgery. Michael wasn't prepared for this loss. He was a doctor, yes, but on that day, it was the human inside him, the father within him, the soul beyond the surgeon that took over. Michael had healed thousands of patients over the years, a surgeon who had brought light into many lives. But one day, something happened that shook him to his core. For the first time in his medical career, his knees trembled and his soul was shaken. A 7-year-old girl, kind-hearted, with a smile that lingered in memory, lost her life during surgery. Michael wasn't prepared for this loss. He was a doctor, yes, but on that day, it was the human inside him, the father within him, the soul beyond the surgeon that took over. He realized that sometimes pain is a lesson. Faith isn't tested in moments of joy, but in the depths of sorrow. And if you can remember God even in your suffering, that is true faith. Michael stood up again, but this time he was different. He was no longer just a doctor who saved lives. He was a believer who had found meaning within the pain. And with every loss, he took one step closer to his Lord. Michael completely transformed his life. He was no longer just a surgeon. He had become a man who turned to God, who prayed, and who treated people with compassion. He didn't just heal bodies anymore. He touched souls. At the clinic, He began offering free checkups to those in need. Day and night he devoted his time not to the wealthy, but to the forgotten. He gave quietly, without seeking praise, providing food to a family, medicine to a child, and hope to an elderly person, all without anyone knowing. Once a week, Michael would make sure to visit the orphanage. He would sit with the children, listen to them, hold their small hands, and try to fill the emptiness inside himself. To them, he was sometimes a doctor, sometimes a father, and sometimes just a friend. One day, someone close to him said, "You used to be successful, but now you are valuable." Those words touched Michael deeply, because he understood success is like a seasonal flower. It blooms, then fades, and is forgotten. But value, the kind that matters to God, is eternal and everlasting. That day, Michael realized once more that true life is about being a light in someone else's darkness, and that light shines only through the pleasure of the one above. Years later, Michael returned to that village. The old mosque was still there, but the elderly man was gone. In his place stood a young imam. Michael quietly stepped inside and sat down in a corner, silently. A prayer rose from his heart. "My Lord, I found you late, but everything I lost on the path to you was actually what I truly gained." He went into prostration. It was a prostration of years, of regret, of return. A man who once clung only to wealth, status, and knowledge was now finding peace in the mercy of God. That prostration was the summit of a lifetime. Faith is not a lesson, it is a way of life. In this story, we saw that faith sometimes awakens through hardship. Though it may be born out of doubt, it grows in silence. It becomes stronger through daily worship, prayer, patience, and reflection. And the emptiness in the human heart can only be filled through connection with God. People like Michael find God in the depths of life. And you can too. He's just one prostration away. If this story feels familiar, you are not alone. Subscribe for more silence and stories that awaken your soul.